They killed 73 puppies. One veterinarian found the proof. When she tried to expose a billion-dollar corporation, they came for her license. They picked the wrong enemy. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had seen a lot in her 20 years as a veterinarian. Broken bones, emergency surgeries, families saying goodbye to beloved pets. But nothing prepared her for what walked through her clinic door on a Tuesday afternoon in March. A young couple carried in a golden retriever puppy they had purchased just 3 days earlier from Pet World Express, one of the largest pet store chains in the country. The puppy was barely breathing. Within an hour, despite everything Sarah did, the puppy died. The cause of death was congenital heart failure, a condition that any reputable breeder would have detected. But that's not what made Sarah suspicious. It was a microchip. When she scanned it, the registration traced back to a facility in rural Missouri that didn't exist on any official records. But the revenge was just beginning. Sarah started making phone calls. What she discovered in the next 72 hours would change her life forever. Sarah's first call was to a veterinary school classmate who now worked in regulatory compliance. Her friend's response sent chills down her spine. That microchip prefix? It belonged to a network of facilities that had been flagged for investigation 3 separate times, but somehow always escaped consequences. The second call was to a local animal shelter director who had been trying to shut down suspected puppy mills for years. And then karma showed up. The director told Sarah something that connected every dot. Pet World Express had signed exclusive supply contracts with a company called Heartland Breeders. On paper, Heartland appeared legitimate. But the director had photographs. Hundreds of dogs crammed into wire cages stacked floor to ceiling. Puppies taken from mothers at 4 weeks old, 2 weeks earlier than legally allowed. Veterinary certificates signed by doctors who had been dead for over 5 years. Sarah felt sick. But she also felt something else rising in her chest. Purpose. If you're learning something new, that like button helps more than you know. She began documenting everything. Over the next 3 months, Sarah built a case that would make any prosecutor weep with joy. She tracked down 17 families who had purchased sick or dying puppies from Pet World Express locations across 4 states. 11 of those puppies had died. The medical conditions were almost identical. Congenital defects, parasitic infections, and respiratory diseases that came from overcrowded, unsanitary breeding conditions. What happened next shocked everyone. Sarah found something even more damaging. 3 former Pet World employees reached out to her after she posted on a veterinary forum. They had witnessed what happened behind closed doors. Puppies that arrived sick were given unlicensed medications by store managers to mask symptoms long enough to sell them. When puppies died in the store, employees were instructed to dispose of the bodies in regular dumpsters, and falsified paperwork claiming the animals were returned to suppliers. One employee had kept a journal. Every entry, dated and detailed. Sarah now had insider testimony, documented deaths, fraudulent medical records, and a paper trail leading directly to corporate headquarters. Sarah made her move. She submitted a formal complaint to the State Veterinary Medical Board, the USDA, and 3 different animal welfare organizations. She also contacted an investigative journalist at the largest newspaper in the region. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Then, everything happened at once. But the betrayer didn't see this coming. Pet World Express didn't respond with an apology or an investigation. They responded with lawyers. Sarah received a cease and desist letter accusing her of defamation, tortious interference with business relationships, and violation of trade secrets. They claimed her accusations were baseless and threatened to sue her for $2 million in damages. But that wasn't the worst part. 3 days later, an anonymous complaint was filed with the state veterinary medical board against Sarah herself. The complaint alleged that she had performed unnecessary procedures on animals to inflate bills, prescribed medications without proper examinations, and maintained unsanitary conditions at her clinic. Every single accusation was fabricated, but an investigation was mandatory. Sarah's license was suspended pending review. Most people would have given up. Sarah had lost her income, her reputation was being systematically destroyed, and she was facing financial ruin from legal fees. The tables were about to turn. Because here's what Pet World Express didn't understand about Dr. Sarah Mitchell. Before veterinary school, she had spent 3 years as a paralegal specializing in medical malpractice documentation. She knew exactly how corporate intimidation campaigns worked, and she knew how to beat them. Sarah didn't just have evidence. She had evidence that was legally bulletproof. Every document was notarized and time-stamped. Every photograph had metadata verification. Every witness statement was recorded with legal acknowledgement. She had anticipated retaliation from the moment she started her investigation. The anonymous complaint against her? Sarah had already obtained sworn affidavits from 15 of her clients attesting to her exemplary care. She had documentation of every procedure she had ever performed. And she had something else. She had recorded every conversation with Pet World representatives. In her state, single-party consent made those recordings completely legal. If you want to see how this ends, make sure you're subscribed. Sarah's attorney filed a countersuit that made legal history in the state. They didn't just sue Pet World Express for defamation and tortious interference. They sued under RICO statutes, claiming the corporation operated as an ongoing criminal enterprise. And this is where it gets good. The recordings Sarah made included a Pet World regional manager explicitly instructing store employees to lie to customers about the origins of their puppies. Another recording captured a corporate attorney advising local managers to destroy documents related to puppy deaths before any investigation could subpoena them. Obstruction of justice. On tape. The investigative journalist who Sarah had contacted 6 months earlier finally published her story. It went viral within hours. 47,000 shares in the first day. Former employees from across the country started coming forward. The hashtag PetWorldExposed trended for 3 consecutive days. state attorneys general from 7 different states opened investigations simultaneously. The dominoes fell faster than anyone anticipated. Within 90 days, federal investigators raided Heartland Breeders and 3 other connected facilities. What they found exceeded Sarah's worst fears. Over 800 dogs living in conditions that violated every animal welfare law on the books. But wait, the best part is coming. Pet World Express tried to distance themselves from the scandal, claiming they had no knowledge of their suppliers' practices. But Sarah's recordings proved otherwise. Corporate executives had toured these facilities. They had signed off on inspection reports that were pure fiction. They knew. The company's stock price dropped 43% in a single month. Their insurance carrier dropped coverage. 3 major shopping mall operators terminated their leases. And then came the courtroom moment that made national news. During a preliminary hearing, Sarah played the recording of the corporate attorney instructing managers to destroy evidence. The attorney in question was sitting in the courtroom, representing Pet World Express. The judge's face went pale. He immediately recused the attorney and referred him to the state bar for disbarment proceedings. The settlement came 18 months after Sarah first scanned that puppy's microchip. Pet World Express agreed to pay $14.7 million to affected families and animal welfare organizations. What they did next was legendary. The CEO resigned in disgrace. 3 corporate executives faced criminal charges for fraud and obstruction. The corporate attorney who advised destroying evidence was disbarred and faced his own criminal prosecution. Heartland Breeders and its connected facilities were permanently shut down. Over 800 dogs were rescued and eventually adopted into loving homes. And Sarah, her license was fully restored with a formal apology from the state board. The anonymous complaint was traced back to a Pet World executive assistant, resulting in additional charges. Sarah received the State Veterinary Association's highest honor for ethical practice and was invited to testify before Congress on strengthening animal welfare laws. Her testimony directly influenced legislation in 12 states requiring transparent breeding facility disclosure for all retail pet sales. But here's what makes this story truly remarkable. Sarah didn't stop there. She established the Mitchell Foundation for Animal Welfare, dedicating the entirety of her personal settlement funds to training other veterinarians in documentation practices that can stand up to corporate intimidation. Her foundation has helped shut down 17 additional illegal breeding operations in just 3 years. She lectures at veterinary schools across the country, teaching students that their oath to protect animals doesn't end when powerful interests push back. Every year on the anniversary of that first puppy's death, the golden retriever that started everything, Sarah visits the family who lost him. They've since adopted a rescue dog, one of the 800 saved from Heartland Breeders. They named him Justice. Think about that for a second. One veterinarian, armed with documentation skills and unshakable determination, took down $1 billion corporation and changed laws across the country. Let me put this in perspective. Pet World Express had survived regulatory investigations 5 times before Sarah came along. They had lawyers, lobbyists, and enough resources to bury most complaints in paperwork until accusers gave up or ran out of money. They expected Sarah to be no different. But they made a critical miscalculation. They assumed that because she was a veterinarian in a small clinic, she wouldn't understand how corporate legal warfare worked. They assumed that threatening her livelihood would make her back down. They assumed that their power was absolute. What they discovered, far too late, was that Sarah's unusual combination of veterinary expertise and paralegal training made her the worst possible adversary. She knew how to document medical evidence that couldn't be disputed. She knew how to create paper trails that couldn't be erased. She knew how to protect herself legally before ever making an accusation. Karma doesn't always deliver justice. But when someone has the right preparation, the right evidence, and the right determination, karma doesn't miss. There's one detail I haven't mentioned yet. The investigative journalist who broke Sarah's story? She won a Pulitzer Prize nomination for her reporting. The 3 whistleblower employees who came forward with testimony? All 3 were hired by animal welfare organizations at significantly higher salaries than Pet World ever paid them. The families who lost puppies became advocates, forming a support group that now helps other victims of predatory pet sales navigate the legal system. And the judge who presided over the case? In his final ruling, he wrote something that Sarah keeps framed in her office. This case represents what happens when corporate greed underestimates the power of one individual who refuses to be silenced. Dr. Mitchell did not just seek justice for herself. She sought justice for every animal and every family harmed by practices that profit from cruelty. The court commends her courage. Think about this. Sometimes the people corporations target for destruction become the very instruments of their downfall. Pet World Express no longer exists. The company declared bankruptcy 11 months after the settlement, unable to recover from the reputational damage and ongoing legal costs from multiple state investigations. Their stores were purchased by a new company that implemented the exact transparency requirements Sarah had advocated for. Every puppy now comes with verifiable breeder documentation, inspection records, and health guarantees backed by third-party veterinary certification. Sarah turned the destruction of her career into the reconstruction of an entire industry's ethical standards. What would you have done in Sarah's position? When a corporation with unlimited resources threatens everything you've built, do you back down or do you fight? Let me know in the comments. This is how karma delivered. But it's worth remembering that karma needed help. It needed someone willing to prepare, to document, to endure, and to never, ever back down. Before you go, I want you to remember something. Sarah Mitchell wasn't wealthy. She wasn't politically connected. She wasn't famous. She was a veterinarian in a small clinic who saw something wrong and refused to look away. Every day, Corporations count on regular people deciding that fighting back isn't worth the cost. They build entire legal strategies around the assumption that intimidation works. Sarah proved them wrong. And she created a blueprint that others can follow. Document everything. Record conversations where legal. Build your evidence before you need it. Connect with others who share your cause. And never underestimate the power of patience combined with preparation. Subscribe for more stories where karma always catches up. We find the cases with the most satisfying endings, where the people who were supposed to lose end up winning everything. Drop a comment with your reaction. Was Sarah's revenge justified? Have you ever witnessed corporate wrongdoing and wondered if fighting back was possible? I read every comment. That's how karma delivers. Now you know how one veterinarian's discovery of a dead puppy led to the collapse of a billion-dollar corporation. Justice doesn't always come easy, but when it does, the satisfaction is worth every moment of the fight. Subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss when karma delivers. What would you have done in Sarah's position? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.